out of my head.
The bitch is back for now. I wanted to make a video on some dream comebacks for some of my favorite soloists. You may have seen I made a video on Seri, but I wasn't happy with it because I wasn't in a good place because I hadn't taken anxiety meds in 2 months. So that video is now gone. I'm going to reiterate that plan. Hopefully I'll enjoy it this time. And then we're going to go through, I have Yena, Chuu, and Chewy. Chuu and Chewy, two different people. Hopefully you know that. And hopefully some of that will interest you. But if it doesn't, I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, I don't know. I would strap in because this one's a doozy. In this Seri re-debut world, it's a fantasy world. People have heard stories growing up. Long ago, there was a famous battle. You could call it American Song Contest. That's a joke. But there was a hero who won, whose name has been lost to time. But she gained a mythical power. Now, Seri thinks she lives in a town where it is always evening. In reality, she sleeps through months of dawn. In different months, different languages are spoken, but she finds a friend writing in the other language. She didn't know they knew another language. They start teaching her to write it, just not speak it. They say she won't be able to pronounce the words, but they really don't want her to activate her powers through her voice. They made a mistake though. Her writing starts having the effects of her powers, manifesting what she writes, akin to solid script magic in fairy tale, which is basically like you write a word and then the word takes the form of whatever you wrote. So like if you write iron, the word iron will take the form of iron. How many times can I say iron? So her mentor sees what's happening and takes pity on her, teaching her bits and pieces of magic, but only bits and pieces. She starts using it for convenience, but she tells her not to, but she's young. She gets caught and she thinks she's gonna face repercussions, but people are scared of both of them, her and her mentor, thinking he was trying to achieve the goals of an ancient evil through her. They give her a choice. They propose she mysteriously sacrifices herself, and he's tried in the justice system. She rebels, so they give her another amended choice. Now she can vow to never return, and they sacrifice him instead. She makes the deal even when she picks up on the sacrifice being death. When she sees the sun, because she has now left, she bursts into flames, but she is able to put herself out with elemental magic. She's recognized in the outside world as the hero and has to hide the choice she just made because people rally behind her as a hero, but she just sacrificed someone to death essentially. And something her mentor teaches her will later come in handy way down the line. But she may have never learned it without the minor rebellion on his part and communication in general. She is her town's best kept secret, or so she thinks. Maybe the best kept secret is her counterpart from the opposite months. And that's the Seri re-debut idea. I didn't have like a song in mind or a music video. Like that's more lore that I think would be interesting. But you know, that's just my dream. Next we have Yena, and this music video has a lot of elements from other Yena music videos. So if you are unaware of Yena's, not lore, but of her filmography, watching those might clarify some of these things. But in my dream music video, Yena is in a cubicle. She's on a computer typing. It's kind of like the earthquake music video. And the screen starts having intermittent concerning messages, and she backs up in her seat. The guy from Nemonemo shows up with 2 guards. He pulls out the sword from Good Morning. She pulls out the gun from Smartphone, and the duck shows up behind her as backup. They play the beginning scene of Hate Rodrigo on a TV as if accusing her of something there. Identity theft, maybe? She plays it off. They show her at the Eiffel Tower in Smiley and flying in Good Morning, and she sees they're onto her. The lights start flashing, and she makes a run for it. The halls are filled with fighting square lovers, like in Nemonemo, and she closes her eyes rather than look. When she reaches a dead end, she's opposite a version of herself at the end of Love War. She pulls the girl's hand and they run in a different direction together. They run with Shady from Smiley and her Smartphone friends, the duck catching up. The eyes from Good Morning flash in the air and she uses the gun. When they are all running free, she falls on the ground suddenly where she was in Love War again. She scratches at the ground but can't get up until she uncovers the sword in the earth. Then she gets up and there's a cut to her sword skewering a computer screen. So this would be for a song called Love Aftermath, which I kind of have ideas for. But first of all, the track list for this album would be Dearest, In the Head, In the Moment, and then Love Aftermath. So it's kind of like a letter. And Love Aftermath would have epistrophe, heavy phrasing at the ends, a lilting melody with crisp diction, an introduction of rock in the pre-chorus, an evenly punctuated pre-chorus, repetition of held belts featuring guitar accompaniment, drums that kick in the chorus, minimal vocals, very monotonous and small, and then a big vocal post-chorus with emotion in few words, very figurative. Then verse 2, she would act like she's been taken by surprise and she would start to sound disillusioned. Then we'd have the chorus again. Then we'd have the bridge with a little down-to-earth ad-libbing and a soft statement of feelings with little subtext, and then an even bigger chorus. Then we have Chuu, which, keep in mind, this music video also includes a lot of references to Chuu's previous music videos, so keep that in mind. We have a bunch of characters in this music video, including Bao, which is the white creature from Howl, who is kind of missing, Sol, who is the green creature from Howl, Yena, the girl from Only Cry in the Rain, and Bao, the guy from Only Cry in the Rain. I'll differentiate when I talk about one Bao versus the other. So Chuu is visiting the building at the beginning of Howl repeatedly, even sitting in the same spot, closing her eyes. We see the weather change outside. Sol is getting physically drained, eventually snapping, flying out while she's still too distracted. Yena tries waking her up when she fell asleep there. There are tear tracks on her cheeks as it rained the previous night. Yena decides they need to play Strawberry Rush, but Chuu really isn't into it. She ends up looking out the window and sees Bao walking by, so she runs out. Bao and Sol are having an argument that Chuu stumbles in on, and Bao tries to leave again, and Chuu feels like her heart is shattering, but it's not raining. Chuu tries to explain to Yena what she was doing, but it's half-hearted, and Sol is back but doesn't help. Bao, the guy, appears in her dream, but she's uninterested in him too, and he burns a letter she wrote to give to Bao, the white creature. She goes to the beach in the outfit from the beginning of Underwater, getting weird looks, and Yena is there but doesn't talk to her. Bao sits down next to her in the sand, and she goes to actually touch him for the first time, but the light flashes in her eyes. She can't see, and he's gone when she can see. Sol isn't there when she gets home, and she wonders if he was ever real either. It rains, and she walks out still inappropriately dressed for the water. Then for the song, this would be for an intro song to the album called Only Cry. The album would be called The Howl Inside, but Only Cry would have soft, loose speech, a little something in the back of her throat. The woos from Underwater would play, but pitched lower. She would be very honest, not dressing up her speech. She'd be direct, the words ending her sentences with impact. She'd ask, when will it rain? When did I start caring about that? And there's scratching, flipping of pages, the ripping of sticky notes, and the sound of a flame. So the track list would be Only Cry, intro, Wet Journal, Green Guy, The Day You Went Away, which would be a cover, and Honesty Hour. Finally, we have Chewy. This would be for another intro song called You Can Be the One. Chewy is getting in an expensive car. She starts driving and it becomes clear she's located in nowhere, just nothingness. She sits in a hammock hanging from nothing later. Her hair is everywhere, but later it's pristine, even though she has barely moved. Her eyes look empty at first. They start moving, looking at something not there, like she's seeing a vision. She runs outside and tries to catch a creature that is coming near her strange home, which is just an assortment of belongings more than a shelter. It vanishes and she seems immediately disappointed. More come throughout her days and she tries to catch them. Sometimes they're tiny and sometimes they look kind of like her. The sky has words written in it that never seem to leave. You can be the one. She dreams she walks around a round table with broken chairs and a creature like her, as if to get married like they do in some cultures. She draws characters in a journal, herself at different ages and stages, but it's only her and the creatures, and she breaks her pencil when she tries to make anything new. So like I said, this would be for You Can Be the One, and there would be an assortment of sounds, revving of an engine, clinking of keys, something getting hit. There'd be anaphora, polysyndeton trailing off at the ends, onomatopoeia in a very straight tone and even range. She doesn't know how to finish her thoughts. She doesn't say anything conventionally profound. And there'd be synesthesia regarding what she talks about being able to see. And then the album would be called One, the number one. And like I said, the intro would be You Can Be the One. But then there'd be Around Town, In the Air, On the Page from My Pencil, and I Can Be the One. I'm really trying to get back into the flow of making videos. It's hard after so long, after feeling so shitty, but I'm gonna try. If you have any ideas for videos, I would love to have inspiration. I have inspiration of my own, but motivation is fleeting sometimes. I think you guys get it. I hope someone gets it. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Let me know how you're doing, because I haven't talked to a lot of you in a long time, and that's sad. Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.